Hi, Valeria. Lovely to have you here on the Foghorn Podcast, episode 1. Would you like to just say a bit about yourself before we start?
Sure, of course. My name is Valeria, and I'm a student in Middlesex, Dubai. I'm originally from Mexico. I lived in the States for a while, and here I am.
Excellent. And you have an amazing experience that I would love that you want to share today. So can you tell us a bit about that and how it started?
Yeah, of course. So basically, it was all pretty random. If anything, it was random. It all started because my cousins actually called me and they told me that they were going on vacation to Dubai. So my cousins live in Mexico. At the time, I was living in the United States with my family. And so my cousin texts me and he says, hey, we're going to Dubai for a month. And we're just going on vacation. And I said, count me in. Like didn't even invite me. I was just like, count me in. I'm there. When we got here, we started taking English classes, which was part of like the package that we sort of bought. You were one of the teachers. That's how we met.
Yes. And how old were you then? How old were you?
I was 18 at the time. I had just graduated high school.
Wow.
So maybe like a week before that happened, I graduated high school. So I sort of had a plan of what I wanted to do with my life, sort of like college and everything. And it just all changed completely when I came here to Dubai. I got the opportunity to work as a substitute teacher, and then I joined university. 3 years later, I'm still here. I love it, and it's been a crazy, emotional ride.
Wow, for a start, to begin with, I think you're really brave. That's very brave, isn't it? To travel, to move abroad across the other side of the world, basically.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
When you're 18, I think, especially in the States, I think you're expected to go to college and you sort of go and live by yourself in a dorm or in an apartment. And I think I sort of went a little bit further than that, moving across the world. I don't think that's what my parents had in mind. It was definitely not what I had in mind for myself.
So can you talk us through, so you decided to come for holiday. Can you talk us through like what happened? Like what made you decide to actually live here? And, how did you make that decision? Like, were you scared? Like what was going through your mind when you made that decision at 18?
Yeah. So I was here on holiday for a month. So we paid accommodation and classes, English classes, for 1 month. And then, like I said, I got the opportunity to start teaching. And that was just going to be like a hobby. I told my dad, I said, maybe I can be here. I'll take a semester off college. I'll start late and just let me stay here. I'll teach. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity, really, at 18. And then things just sort of kept happening. And the next thing I knew, I was applying for Middlesex University here in Dubai. And the next day I got accepted. And I called my dad and I said, I got into college. I have an apartment. I'm staying here.
Wow.
So I didn't even go back home after a month. I just stayed.
What were you feeling? Like, were you scared or?
It was definitely a roller coaster of emotions. So everything, right? It was my first time being all of my own. So excited, definitely. Scared, and sort of surprised and shocked with myself that I actually went through with it and that I found the guts to say, like, this is what I want and life is sort of handing it to me. I'm just going to go ahead and take it, So a little bit of everything when it comes to emotions, but definitely shocked.
How did you know it was the right decision? Was it just instinct?
It really was. My mom, I think, out of everyone, was the most worried. You know, she said, what are you doing what are you going to be doing on the other side of the world by yourself? You don't know anyone. So yeah.
And how did that make you feel? Did you feel anything when she said that, or did you just?
I mean, you, of course, when you hear your mom worried like that, I doubted myself. I said, am I making the right decision? And like, because you know, you're 18, you don't have life figured out. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, but it was a gut feeling. I felt like I had to do it. Something was telling me, you know, this is where you're supposed to be right now. And I just went with it. I said, yes, I'm scared. Of course, I mean, who wouldn't be, right? Especially at a young age, who wouldn't be scared? But I just I knew I had to do it.
Wow. And did you have any support, emotional support?
Oh, of course. Yeah. I mean, my parents, you know, they raised me to be independent and to sort of do whatever I felt was best for me. And I mean, to this day, 3 years later, they still support me every choice I've made along the way. Even the crazy choices that I've made. They're always there for me. And I think they're the ones who I really have to thank for. It's my parents, of course, the friendships that I've made here along the way. I've met 2 of my best friends that I like now consider my family. I've met them here. So, yeah.
So could you have done it without their support, like your parents' support?
Honestly, at the age of 18, I don't think so. Maybe now that I think I'm a little bit smarter in the way of, you know, looking at life. But back then, no, not at all. No.
So you needed that support. But friends, and was it easy to make friends when you were? Because you just
it was.
I think. Yeah.
It really was. But then again, I think that making friends and making connections is so personal and so different for everybody. I mean, everyone has a different experience with that. And, you know, my mom especially has always been the person who sort of tells me like, oh, you're really easygoing and it's easy for me to make friends. And I know that now. So that part has been easier. I definitely I'm from Mexico, so I've met a lot of Latinos here, which has been so great because you feel at home, you know, even if it's not from the same country, you know, it's the same language and you feel at home, you feel like you're not alone, and it's great.
That's the important thing. And what advice would you give to other students like your age, like when you were 18, having to make this decision as well? Like, what advice would you give them?
You know, at 18, I always thought, you know, 18 is such a crazy age to choose a career, choose a life path. I think you're so young and you don't really know what's going on and everything is just confusing. And my friends back home, even my friends, you know, and my friends in the States that I graduated high school with, and then my friends back home in Mexico, everyone was like, you're insane. Like, in this, how did you get to Dubai to begin with, right?
Wow.
And I said, yeah, but I think you have to be a little bit crazy sometimes. You have to sort of put yourself out there. You have to, like I like to say, jump head first. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. You know, you pick yourself up, you try it again. But maybe it ends up being one of the best experiences of your life, which is what basically happened to me, you know? And right now I feel like I'm ready for the next step. I'm close to graduating university, but it's been amazing. So advice to people that are 18 and are still trying to figure it out is trust your gut. It really comes down to what you're feeling inside, because people might be pressuring you, whether it's a counselor at school, your parents especially. I think when you're so young, you sort of feel that pressure from your parents. You're trying to make them proud, you're trying to make them happy.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we end up taking the wrong decisions because we want to please other people.
Wow.
And I sort of stepped away from that and said, no, if it's not going to make me happy, then why am I doing it? So I knew for me that my parents were excited for me to move, but at the same time, you have an 18-year-old girl who's moving to the other side of the world by herself. Of course, as a parent, you're concerned, you're worried, you don't want to let them go. And I've seen that with a lot of my friends' parents. It's, you don't want to let your kid go. You don't want to let them grow up, because then, they're out. Once they're out of the house, that's it. They're on their own, and you sort of feel like they don't need you, right?
Yeah.
And I think we as teenagers, we like to feel that as well. When we leave home, we're like, oh, I'm independent. I don't need my parents anymore, which is completely the opposite. You can ask my mom right now. I'm calling her every week, like, especially when I moved out, the first couple of weeks, I'm like, Mom, how do I use a washing machine? Right. So, yeah. So.
And so now, oh, sorry. Looking back now, then, so how do you think this experience has changed you?
Oh, in every way. I mean, in every way you can think of, I've changed. I would say I've grown a lot. Because I think you get used to a routine, you get used to seeing the same type of people or having the same beliefs even. And coming to especially a Muslim country, where you get to see so many people from many different backgrounds, you grow as a person, because you see so many things that you're not used to, and you have to get used to those things in order to keep going and in order to adapt. So I think I sort of grew in a way of understanding other people and accepting other people. And I'm not gonna say it's like it was tough for me, because I know what that's like, when living in Mexico my entire life and then moving to the States. I know what it's like to be that outsider who's, everyone looks at you like, you're not from here, are you? They know, and it's tricky to navigate that, but I think you really grow once you start understanding where other people come from. And
I guess that's an important point actually that you've made, because I guess especially here, there's lots of people who are not from here, so they might be feeling how you felt when you went to the States.
Right.
How did you feel when you said you felt like an outsider? How did you manage that then? And how old were you?
I was 15
when
my family moved to the States, so pretty young. I went from going to a school with classmates that I've known since preschool to a huge high school in the States. And we moved to the north of the country first. I lived in Minnesota for a while. And, I had a pretty hardcore accent back then. Like, you could really tell I wasn't American. Sort of, I worked on that in the past couple of years, and now people usually guess that I'm American. But, they hear you speak and they'd be like, oh, so where are you from? That is the first question that people would always ask me. They would look at me and I would introduce myself like, oh, I'm Valeria. And they would be like, oh, so where are you from?
How did that make you feel when they said, where are you from?
I mean, it never really bothered me. Of course, I'm proud of where I come from, and I love Mexico. I love going back there. I'm never gonna say I'm embarrassed at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, you sort of feel like an outsider for a little bit there. But then once you start making friends, like I said, I'm lucky because I've always been pretty open, and it's easy for me to make friends. So
do you think,
but definitely for a while there.
Do you think that experience in the States from when you're 15 kind of prepared you for moving to Dubai? Like, it had some kind of positive impact on you?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely, 100%. I said to myself, you know, I made it once, I can do it again.
Wow.
You know, if I did it already, if I know what's coming, even if it's something unexpected, I've done it, I've gone through it, I was able to handle it then, I'll be able to handle it now. And so I think that moving to the States, even if it was with my family, definitely prepared me. And I felt like I was ready and gave me a lot more confidence.
Wow, that's so interesting. So is there anything else you would like to say to obviously teens will be watching this, teens and young adults? Is there anything else you would like to say to them? I guess you said, listen to yourself, follow your gut feeling, take the chance. Anything else before we finish?
I mean, like you said, it's going with your gut. It's always helped me. It's always been the right choice to go with your gut. And I think something else that I would really like to say is listen to yourself, listen, because you have the answer. You know, even if you're asking other people for advice, at the end of the day, the answer is inside of you. You know what you want. And even if you don't, you'll figure it out. You know, you're young, you're still either a teenager or a young adult. You don't need to have life figured out right now, and that's completely fine. That's why I'm saying take the opportunity, gain something from the experience, because you know, we're all confused all the time, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the age where everyone is just confused. We don't know what's going on. So if you get the chance, take it. And it's okay not to know what you're doing and where you're going, because we all go through it, I think.
Wow.
But I think that's what makes it so amazing, you know? And I think that's what makes the outcome even better.
Wow, that's great advice, I think. Yeah, just embrace not knowing and not...
Right.
Yeah. No, I think that's great, because I think a lot of teenagers worry, don't they? They're under all of that pressure. What do they have to make all these decisions about what to study, what are they doing with their life?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's great. Okay, thank you so much, Valeria, and we'll see you again soon.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for talking.
Thank you so much.
It's been so much fun.
Thank you.